welcome to another episode of Artco Drone Solutions. We've got a great show tonight. We've got a very special guest, and I will bring him up now. Hey, wait, you're not Casey Neistat. It is
No, I'm
Mike.
the Casey Neistat replacement art. Next
Welcome to the
best thing, I
show.
guess.
You're Mike Roche. Am I pronouncing your last name right? Mike Roche Studios. Welcome to the show, sir.
Right. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be asked to come on and to be one on one in a broadcast.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I've checked out your channel. I checked out your latest video, your little gizmo that you use to pick up your drone and your other gadgets. They just amaze me, and I know what you're talking about because I've made gadgets for myself to make my life
Right.
a little easier, and I like your ideas, and I love the Bond reference to your video. That was just
Well,
awesome. So
yeah. Well, I wanted to have a little fun with that video,
right,
and I love James Bond movies, all the old Sean Connery
yeah,
movies, and and it was just easy to throw that thing together
cool.
in like 3 hours of editing, and it's done.
Yeah,
And
that
so,
that's the hard part right there is editing. It's
yeah,
easy to get all the footage, and then you gotta download it to the computer, and then just start editing, chop it up, and make it all work. Which
right.
I I think
Well,
that's where
for that one, I
you're.
kind of went in with a storyboard in mind, so to speak, and I knew the music I was going to use, so I thought I knew how the basic framework of it, and just shot the video, and it was cold out and breezy and all that, but I was like, whatever comes through,
Right.
and I'll put it together and throw it up, throw it against the wall and see if it sticks, and it did
That
pretty good. That one got me a lot of views.
cool. Now, what kind of camera did you use on that video? Were you using a GoPro?
Uh, no, that was just an iPhone. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah,
so
that
yeah,
that
that
was
way,
great.
it it's quick and simple. And I had a friend of mine, doing camera for me, so she knows how to use the iPhone and all that stuff. So it was a piece of cake, and that way, it's already there
Right.
to use. Just put it over onto the iPad, and I do all my editing using LumaFusion on
Okay.
iPad,
All
which
right.
is,
Cool.
for me, it's perfect.
That's great. I was just wondering if maybe there's a way you could hook up an external mic with a what they call a cat that goes over the mic to kind of diffuse the wind noise.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I don't do that many videos with me, talking. That was kind of a one-off thing, where or live streaming and stuff. I'll
Right.
do some of that this summer, but only on really nice still evenings when I want to get a nice sunset or something like that. But really, um, when the weather is good and still. But I like to fly, get footage, and then sort it out and put it together. And my theory going into the summer is, you know, drone footage 3 years ago was new and exciting, and wow, look,
Yeah.
you can see the trees from the sky, and that really doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
It's you got to do something else. So I want to try and up my game in terms of storytelling and telling the history of a place, and things like that,
Right.
and also keeping it down to 3 minutes or so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good place to start because I've seen a lot of YouTubers out there and their videos are just way too long unless they've got a compelling story that holds you. That's what I like.
Right,
So,
right.
where are you located right now?
I'm in Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
Um, I'm high atop the Roche Broadcasting Building
Uh,
on the
okay.
37th floor in Studio B1.
Okay. Cool.
No,
Is that
no,
your hometown?
no, I'm just at my house.
Oh,
Um, you know, I'm I'm in Syracuse. We're, we're in the middle of the state. Kind of between Buffalo and New York City.
right.
So and so we have New York on one direction and Niagara Falls in the other
Yeah.
direction, and then the Adirondack Mountains up to the northeast, and the Finger Lakes
Yeah.
down to the southwest. So we can. It's a great state, especially in the summer.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of great places to go to get some great drone footage. But what I was trying to say is that your hometown? Are you originally from Syracuse?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah. I was born and raised here in the city of Syracuse itself.
Right.
I live in the suburbs right now, but yep, I went to right in the heart of the city, and so and we've been in the suburbs now for about 40 years, but uh, I was definitely the kind of you know the, the kid who loved taking the bus downtown and just running around from store to store,
Right.
Woolworths, Kmart, all the different stores, and just kill time like that. Make sure you have bus fare to get home.
There you go. There you go. So, did you go to college there, or do you have a college degree?
No, I don't have a college degree.
Okay.
Um, my path was kind of weird, because as you know, I use a wheelchair.
Right.
I had a spinal cord injury back in 1978, and I was in 10th grade. So I was able to finish with my class and graduate with my class in 1980, and I really didn't have any much money, to deal with. I lived at home and all that, and so I started to, instead of doing what the state wanted me to do in terms of a college route,
Right.
um, I started to volunteer at an organization that worked for disability rights issues
Right.
back in the day, and you've been dealing with it for a long time
Yeah.
yourself. You remember back in the late 70s and the early 80s, it was not like it is now in terms
Right.
of, it's just of course people who are disabled are included. Back
Right.
then it wasn't that way,
Right.
and
Right.
even the attitude was different from people. So
Yeah.
I eventually got offered a job there, and
Right.
started running support groups and things like that, and also lobbying to get our local city buses to have wheelchair lifts on them and stuff like
Right.
that. And did that for about 10 years, and then I got tired of working in the social services field,
Right.
kind of thing. And thankfully by then my financial situation had improved, so I had more choices, and then in the 1990s I got involved with an organization called Think First, which was an injury prevention organization
Okay.
where myself or somebody else with an injury would go to local high schools or middle schools and talk about spinal cord injuries, brain injuries, how they happen, how easily they can happen, and but how easily they can be prevented from happening as
Right.
well. With seatbelts and not drinking and driving, and
Yeah.
knowing the depth of the water before you dive in, all that kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
So I enjoyed that quite a bit. Speaking with basically through the whole 90s, doing high school classes and middle school classes all across the county. So,
Right.
and that was a blast.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Here in Colorado, we have a special hospital for patients with brain and spinal injuries called Craig Rehabilitation Hospital.
Oh yeah, I know it
Yeah.
well. When I was hurt, my physical therapist had come here from Craig Hospital,
Okay.
and so she knew her stuff. And I
Right.
loved her because she was like a drill sergeant, and she would, in physical therapy, it was like, when you're exhausted, she wants, five more reps. Come on, let's go. Literally like a drill
Yeah.
sergeant, and
Yeah.
I really thrived on that.
Yep.
And
I
she knew her
remember
stuff.
those days. I spent about half my childhood in hospitals at Shriners Hospital, and I know all about physical therapy and how grueling that could be sometimes.
Right. Yeah,
But
it's basically like hitting the gym twice a day, every day, and but you do get the returns at the time, and
that's
especially
right.
when you're young.
Hmm. So, so
But
you're a year off from me in high school. I graduated in '79, and yeah, and you're spot on about uh, how views and perceptions have changed because back in those times, back in the mid '70s, they started a program called mainstreaming, where they mainstreamed the disabled students into regular classrooms. And
right,
I went to a special ed school where everybody was disabled, so it was a big adjustment for me.
right.
And
Yeah, I was pretty fortunate in that I went to Catholic school all my
oh,
life,
okay,
and
I'm
in the
sorry.
school that I actually had my injury at in gym class, tutored me while I was in the hospital.
Right?
And then as soon as I got out of the hospital, I went right back to school because it was winter time and I was bored to death and I just
Yeah.
wanted to get out of the house. So, got right back to school and graduated and they made it as mainstream as possible, even though I was the one student there with any kind of visible disability.
Right. Right. Now,
So.
were you always a nerd, or were you just?
No, no, I was not a nerd. I was a goofy kid, but I was. You remember the 1970s? How being the hippie days were over, but the baby boomers. I'm 57, so born in '62. Kind of the tail end of the baby boom
Yeah.
population, and we kind of had no identity other than trying to be as cool as we thought we were
Yeah.
being. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And goofing off and all that kind of thing. So, and I lived in a city neighborhood where houses are all close together and that kind of thing. So everybody knew everybody, and for the most part, that was good.
All right. Uh, I was kind of a nerd, not really much, but I was always interested in a lot of different things. So, what was your first personal computer that you owned?
Oh God. uh, it was something from Radio Shack. It was basically a glorified calculator, uh, with a floppy drive that I don't even know what size it was.
Uh,
And, but my first real computer was an old dial up 386, whatever that was,
yeah,
speed computer. And then finally, the Windows 95 computer came out.
right,
That was my first one that would, really get you on the internet.
right.
And of course, it would crash about every 5 seconds, the
Yeah,
software.
yeah,
But you know, and then Windows, all the Windows stuff. But I've come to love the iPads now, in terms of my ability, in terms of finger dexterity and stuff like that.
right.
Um, I use an extra long stylus,
Right.
and so with that, I'm able to drop and drag things and all that for video editing, and also the voice dictation software and all that has come so far.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
true.
tell Siri or Alexa or whoever else. I just made everybody's
Cordana.
Alexa go
Yeah.
off. So, but
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've got kind of minimal use of minimal dexterity, but fortunately, I work with really small parts at the company that I
right,
work for, so it works for me. So uh,
yeah.
I
Well,
was
that's kind of the
born,
one.
part,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was born with a disability, unlike
Right.
you, which was an accident, and so for you, it was probably harder to deal with a disability, being an able-bodied person, and all of a sudden you're in a wheelchair
Well,
and you can't.
it was kind of a long story. At first, I thought I was going to get better, you know, the first couple of months,
Right.
and then all of a sudden the news got dropped on me that you're not getting better, and that was a blow. But my mother taught me how to be really stubborn, so I was going to show them, you know what I mean, and I was going to walk out of the
That's a
hospital,
great
and
attitude.
you
Yep.
know how it is. It helped me actually because I worked like crazy in all the therapies, but I came to realize that it wasn't happening, and I was going to be paralyzed. But I kind of maximized everything that I had to use, and but the finger dexterity stuff really comes into play in terms of small parts because that's the one thing with drones. Is that the more intricate the parts get, the more you have to really be creative. Like even getting the micro SD out of the drone,
Yeah.
I use tweezers, like
Right.
reverse tweezers,
Right.
and that's my way of doing it. So,
Right.
so I
I,
figured everything out where I can independently get out there and fly.
well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
I know about the tweezer part because my Mavic Air, the way they have the slot located, uh, you really need tweezers to
no,
to grab it and to kind of get it going to push back in it because the door that covers it, doesn't give you a whole lot of room for your fingers to
right,
grab the SD card to pull it out. But
right. I
that,
think for the average person, it's hard. You
yeah,
know,
and
a
for
lot of
you,
a lot of
yeah,
people have complained about that design,
hmm
and some people have just ripped the door off,
yeah,
and left it off. But
right,
yeah, it's a little tough. But tweezers do come in handy. But
right,
uh, DJI could have done a little better. But it's a small drone, and that one little price to pay for a drone that flies that well.
right,
People complain about the noise of it, but who cares? Once you're
yeah,
100 feet up in the air, nobody really cares about the
yeah,
noise.
that's true. You probably saw that some of the other droners have tried that the new props called by Master Screw that supposedly makes it quieter. It doesn't make it quieter. What it does is it changes the pitch, and it's that
Right.
high pitch that drives people crazy. So what they did is they
Yeah.
just figured out a way to change the pitch where it's lower and it doesn't bother people like it does
Right.
right now with the original
Yeah.
props. So, uh,
Yeah, I've seen those, but the original ones, I mean, I like to stick with the original equipment if I
right,
can, because I heard about the motors were getting hot and people were getting some alerts about the electrical flow or something like that. So
right,
I just stick with the originals and just enjoy myself, and I don't worry about the noise.
yeah. Well, I tried these
And
babies out on my my Phantom, and they're foldable, and they're made
Right.
of carbon fiber. They're junk. I put them on,
Yeah.
and it made my drone unstable. And I did a
Right.
video on that, and so that was kind of my $20 experiment that went wrong.
Oh yeah. I would
And
think that just the laws of physics, if you have a foldable prop, you need the centrifugal force just to keep the prop open, and then it has to lift the drone
yeah,
up. So a solid prop would not have to do that work to keep the blade straight, and I would see it being more stable. But I love the folding props when they're made to be that way for the right drone, because
right,
like on the Mavic series, um, that first Mavic Pro design
right,
was so, for a first time out, so well designed. The only Achilles heel of it was the gimbal, and everyone knows that.
right.
Everyone hated the gimbal, but when it worked properly, beautiful video. The thing flew like a bird, and
Yeah,
you know, uh, it's still, if it wasn't for the camera differences and the gimbal, I would have hesitated to get the Mavic 2.
right, right. Speaking of Mavic too, I went out flying with Tim Herbert of Midwest Drones today. We went up in the mountains and up to a place called Idaho Springs, where there's a waterfall with a mill wheel at the bottom. And he let me fly his Mavic 2 Pro, and it's very similar to the Mavic Air, but boy, the it's got real nimble controls on it. I really liked it. It
Yeah.
kind of made me a little nervous because it's like, this is a $1,400 drone, and I'm like, I hope I don't screw it up. And he goes, don't worry about it. It's insured.
Well,
Oh,
thank God for tripod mode.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
I use tripod mode a lot. Um, and also the APAS system
Yeah.
on both the Mavic Air and the Mavic 2. Um, that works like a champ. I've flown through trees and stuff like that where I've relied on the APAS to work, and it does work when you remember to turn it on. I
Oh,
forgot
okay,
to
cool.
turn it on one time, and that drone is at the bottom of a swamp right now,
Oh
and
man,
and there it
ouch.
will remain forever.
Oh
So,
man.
but I had to go back and finish. I got another one.
Oh, cool. Now I gotta do a shameless plug here. You know that I've got a contest going, and because I'm getting closer and closer to 500 subscribers,
Cool.
and I've got a giveaway, and what it is an Eachine uh, E511S, and it's a Mavic Air clone, and it's got GPS, one key return, headless mode, altitude hold, HD camera, wink wink. But
720p, huh?
from what I understand, it does have you can control the angle of the camera from the controller. So, but it doesn't have a gimbal, so you get a little bit of shake. But it's a pretty good little drone. I didn't get a chance to fly this, so the person who wins this will get it, new in the box, never flown,
Right.
and just go to my YouTube channel and comment down below, Art, I'm Ishing to win that drone. So, uh, you folks out there, you want to win that drone, go to that video and make a comment down below. All right, so
Right.
there's my
Well, that's
shameless
cool.
plug.
Well, hey, not everybody can afford a Mavic or a DJI drone.
Right.
You know, a lot of people are loving the Parrot drones.
Right.
You know, the Bebop 2 and the Bebop, I think, Power or something like that.
Right.
Uh, I know that a guy in Ireland, Rolex drone channel,
Right.
he uh, he loves his Bebop,
Oh, cool.
and that's the thing. If it's the drone for you, then any of them are terrific.
There you go. Now I've got the Parrot Swing. I don't know if you've seen it. It kind of looks like an X-wing fighter, and you can
Oh
actually
yeah.
it flies like a V-stall where you could take off and then you could turn it and it flies like a
Oh
plane.
okay.
And
Yeah, I saw that on Ken Herron's channel.
right,
Yeah,
and
and it
that's
does
what
work. You
got
know.
me hooked into trying that. And I bought as a present for myself for Christmas. I had my Amazon gift card and I went out and bought that. And hopefully, either this weekend or next weekend, I will finally take it out and get a video on that, do a little review on that. So, was that Mavic? Was that your first drone, or did you have another one prior to that?
Well, technically, my first drone was a piece of junk. It was the one that was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, available in the Apple stores by Parrot, and it had like styrofoam body, and
Oh,
it was horrible. The thing would just, you know, and um, so that didn't even fly outside. But then a friend of mine came over. I was watching YouTube and I was watching videos of a rock quarry not far from my house, and I saw somebody flying over there, and I noticed he must live near me, so I
right.
got a hold of him, and he came over and kind of did a practice real estate video on my house, um, and he let me take the sticks of his Mavic, or excuse me, Phantom 3. I'm
Oh,
not sure which one,
right.
but it was once I did that, because I always wanted to fly something ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And once I got a hold of that, though, and realized, you know, it just hovers there, you know, and all that kind of thing,
Right.
I went right out within a couple of weeks and bought a Phantom 4. And so that was my first real drone.
Cool.
But then the Mavic came out, and the Phantom was a little big for me in terms
Yeah.
of carrying it around and even changing the battery on the Mavic is much easier for me
Yeah.
than it was on the Phantom and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of thing. So I sold the Phantom to him for a good price because he got me into the whole thing,
Cool.
and so he was happy, and
Are your eggs
and
done?
pardon?
Are your eggs done? I heard
No,
ding.
I think we've got a troll on my phone there,
Oh,
but
okay.
he knows who he is. He's a friend of ours.
Okay.
But uh, you know, the Mavic for me is just terrific.
Right. Yeah, that
And
now I have the Mavic Air and I also have a Phantom 3 Advanced. And I took both of them out to flying around and Tim brought his Mavic 2 Pro and so I got a chance to fly the Phantom and boy that is a lot of work because you got to put the props on, put the battery in, uh, and get the your remote set up to where I use a tablet for that. And that nice thing about
right,
that is it plugs into the remote, so it's not Wi-Fi. So, uh,
right, yeah.
but
Well, I just got the
unfortunately,
smart controller
right, it's
just the
almost
other
like a
day.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and that takeoff I did in that video was actually literally the first takeoff that I did using the controller. That was that was the first time seeing the screen outdoors and first time taking off,
Oh,
and it
cool.
worked like a charm. It was, it did, it really does, so far anyway, give you everything that it says it does.
Cool.
And the screen really is that bright where you
Yeah.
really, unless you're in the middle of the desert, you don't need uh, any kind of a sun hood at all.
Right.
So I'm really happy about that.
Now Tim brought his unique drone, and he was showing that to me. And it's got a humongous controller. It kind of looks like an oversized smart controller because it's got the display all built into the controller, and it's like this big. And I'm like, oh, it's cool, but just
Right,
way too dang big. But his drone is a hectocopter, and it's got a really nice camera on it. So it's probably, well, 4K, and I would imagine it probably goes 60 frames a second, where
right.
uh, both of my drones are limited to, I think, 30 frames a second. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't even shoot in 4K. I've been doing 1080 this whole time,
yeah,
and I decided this year to up it to 2.7K because it's YouTube, and I'm not making Ben Hur or anything.
yeah,
I'm
that's
just
true. That's true.
it's not an epic. It's just a 3-minute drone video. So the 2.7K, I mean, gives you a little room for cropping in and with editing and leveling the
Right,
horizon and all that kind of thing. And but what also without being too big of a file, which for me is nice.
right,
The iPad, I have the iPad Pro, the first one, and it handles it just no problem at all.
right.
Um, by the fall, I hope to have the new generation iPad Pro with a terabyte of memory, and
Wow.
also hopefully a new iMac with a 4K display on it, because
Right,
I don't even have a 4K TV or anything, so I've
right,
never even seen 4K
right.
in the store or anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So so that way it future proofs a little bit,
Right,
but it's I've always been happy with 1080, but I like to have a little room to crop in and move the picture around if I
right,
want to in the frame. That's a whole lot of creative freedom.
right, right.
And
And
and again with that LumaFusion software for iOS operating system, it's $20, and you really get a full editing suite that does everything that I would want to do.
right. Yeah,
And
cool.
so, and I've been learning more and more about it. That once you learn more about the software, the easier it is to use and the faster it is to pump out a video. So
Right,
I, I'm gonna hopefully go flying tomorrow in the downtown and hit the tallest building in the city of Syracuse, the State Tower building, which was built in 1928. And it's kind of an old Art Deco
cool.
style
Yeah,
building, and it's had some good years and bad years, but they just put some high end apartments in it in the upper floors,
right.
and of course I'm not going to get looking in anybody's windows or anything, but but I'll do some orbits around it. Philly
Right.
Mike will maybe give me some tips about how to do that, and you know because he's a skyscraper king,
Yeah.
and but it's the tallest building in Syracuse to this day, and it's really a beautiful building too,
Right.
and and it's right next to City Hall, so I could get in trouble because I'm bending the rules a little bit, but
Yeah.
tomorrow's Sunday, no one's going to be down there.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we've got some pretty strange rules in the city I live in. It's a suburb of Denver, and I'm friends with one of the city councilmen, and I asked him about flying around the tower at City Hall. They've got like a clock tower, and it's about 4 or 5 stories tall, and he didn't know what the rules were, and then he came back and said, "Well, here are the rules. Only people that are employed with the city may fly around that and fly." And oh, and then he said, "I guess the city parks are no fly zones." I'm like, "Oh, really?"
Right.
Uh,
Well, I guess that's true pretty much across the country.
well,
Same here in New York state parks with that stupid
what?
rule where you can fly there, but you can't control your drone
Right,
from state parks,
right,
which is in essence, you can't fly there. But I think our rules here are that after Labor Day, you can fly. And that's when you would want to anyway, because I'm in the Northeast, so
right.
we get all the foliage of the leaves and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm,
So that's when I would want to go there anyhow, come September, early October, and
right.
that kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm,
so for my purposes, I've already done one state park, and I've got another one in mind, and you know I you know and if they want to tell me to leave, then I'll leave.
yeah.
You know, and, but and I also have a place planned out. We have a biker barbecue restaurant right in the middle of the city too, called the Dinosaur Barbecue.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
there's actually one in New York owned by the same company, and one in I think Rochester, New York, and but there's one in New York City as well,
Right,
and it's all bikers and barbecue and rock and roll and
right.
blues, and
Cool.
bikers tend to love me because I'm on wheels and they just think I'm one of their own. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I've never had a problem with biker types at
It,
all.
same here.
So and so and I'm sure they would love to show off the bikes.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing I hope to do this year are car shows because it seems like they always have one either every weekend or every other weekend from during the summer, and if I get there early before the people get there and fly around the cars, and if I could find a really neat looking one and get permission to kind of you know fly around and get some photographs and videos of that automobile and use that as my portfolio for my business.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, actually, if you fly close enough, you could do some pinstriping around the edge of the car with your props.
Yeah, there
And
you go. Yeah, they like that. I could be
yeah,
like,
automobiles and all that stuff, but are a lot of fun. And but there's some landmarks around here, some gorgeous buildings in the city that I'd like to
right.
do. So
Hmm.
and then hopefully in the fall get some more fall-oriented things.
Right.
and
Yeah, here in Colorado,
uh,
we got a lot of little towns out on the plains where uh, they're fun to fly because it seems like every town has a big water tower, and you can fly around that and kind of get some video so you can see the layout of the town, and if there are any interesting landmarks nearby, like a grain elevator or some spot that is of historic significance that you could fly to.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, we've got a few like that around here that they're really not in use anymore, but they're the older ones are awesome, and so there's all that kind of stuff, and
Right.
you know, but and of course you have the Rocky Mountains,
Right.
so I don't know how far you can get into the mountains yourself, and be able to fly, but just seeing them in the background is awesome.
Right. Yeah, it all depends on if it's a state or a national park that kind of
All right.
keeps you from flying. Fortunately, where we flew today, there was a nice path there and some benches to sit on, and there's the waterfall right in front of us. There was nobody there, and I think we saw one person walking that trail, and the
Hmm.
creek runs right in front of you. And it wasn't a very long walk for me, so it was an easy little venture for me to do. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So I went
that
through three
sounds.
batteries on the Mavic Air, so I got a lot of video from that, and went through a half a battery on the uh, the Phantom 3.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, the Mavic Air is great. It's if you as long as you plan your flight a little bit, and don't wait till you get up in the air to think of where you're going, and
Right?
have shots kind of in planned out ahead of time. You get, you know 15 to 18 minutes of actual flying time,
Right?
and with the area, and that's plenty to get plenty of video to use for whatever. And
Yeah.
if you're flying three batteries from that, that's 45 minutes in the air,
Yep.
and all in one small package. That's really a terrific drone.
Hmm.
Of course, we're
Yep.
all wondering what the new next big thing is, coming up at the event or non-event or whatever it is
Yeah.
that's coming up. Who
Right.
knows?
Yep. That's coming
And
up on the 23rd, I believe. So,
right, I think so.
what do you
Yeah.
think the new thing is coming out, or the new and improved whatchamajigger? What do you think it might
I
be?
you know I watch all these guys doing prediction videos, and they all have to come back and say, "Well, I was wrong," and
Yeah.
so I haven't got a clue. I'd like to think that it's whatever is coming after the Phantom. Um, maybe it won't be called Phantom, or something like that. But I know that in one of their previous uh, kind of dream videos, they did show a bunch of drones that were basically fuselages of Phantoms with no legs,
Oh,
with like a bubble camera on the bottom. You may remember that thing, and
yeah.
the legs, each leg would fold down from each corner when it landed.
Oh, cool.
Um, and it was a concept thing, but maybe the concept is reality. But I think that would be cool, because with that one you could even throw it in the air and it would
There.
fly.
There you go.
Um, whether they're ready for that kind of thing, who knows? But because the Phantom 2.0, Phantom 4 2.0
Yeah.
is right now still the best, consumer drone,
Right.
I think, in terms of DJI or
Right.
whatever brand, is people like. But I can't, unless it's a parts problem with the Phantom, supply making more Phantom Force.
Right.
Then I don't know. With the interchangeable lenses thing, that's kind of cool, but right, we already have zoom lenses on a Mavic
Yeah,
2,
that's right.
so you could put a bigger zoom lens on a Phantom. So who knows? I mean, I really haven't got a clue. I just
Yeah.
hope I don't want it.
I don't think
So
the Phantom line is going to totally go away, because it's kind of the icon of the DJI world. Uh, it's name recognition. I think they'll still use that platform, but they'll build upon it. Like the
Yeah.
Inspire was their big drone, more for cinematography and video and so forth. Where
Right.
the Phantom was more of the everyday Joe kind of guy drone. And then then they started coming out with these other ones like the Spark and the Mavic and then the Mavic Air, and now they've got their only toy drone, which is the Tello. And
Right.
now this is a lot of fun to fly. It doesn't have GPS, but it does have uh, camera sensors on the bottom. And
Okay.
it for a little toy drone, it is stable as heck. I really like it.
Yeah.
I've flown it outside, but I wouldn't want to fly it when it's very windy because bye bye drone. And it's also
Right.
you're limited to Wi-Fi, so your range is really short.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Spark is, that's a terrific drone in terms of just being Wi-Fi.
Right,
You can get a pretty decent distance with that thing.
right,
I think it's more, by the time you get far enough where you're going to lose signal with the Spark, your battery is going to tell you to come back anyway.
that's
So,
true.
they kind of hit the sweet spot with that. If they come out with a new Spark with 3 more minutes of fly time and a little more distance or better camera.
Very
Who
good.
knows? But I hope that for the people who like the Phantom, I would hope that they would, whatever this release is oriented towards that market.
Right.
Because that'll leave a big hole in the market, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
That's
my buddy who flies Phantoms, um, since the smart controller is out, he's now considering getting a Mavic,
uh-huh.
and with a Mavic Pro 2 Pro, with the 1 inch sensor. But the Phantom, he's going to wait and see. But the price is also going to be pretty hefty too if it
Right.
is that.
Right.
And if it's interchangeable lenses, then you got to buy all the lenses, and you know that seems like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
That's
Don't hold
true.
me to it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And to
and
let the folks know out there, I like chocolates and I like fixing drones. So if you have one or the other, you could send them to this address. Send your candy to me. I'm kind of like Ken. I love chocolates, so send it to that address, and I will be very happy and indebted to you. Alrighty, so there's that, and and here's my version of razzmatazz. It's a little something that I made up using that little gadget that I made of underwater. So I kind of changed the color a little bit, but it looks kind of cool. I'll have to get a hold of Lloyd and Mel to figure out how to put the the photo or video inside it. So I mean, I like it with the little bubbles going by and the little invertebra swimming by it. So that's pretty cool. So that's my version of razzmatazz, and I need to put some music to it too. So not
well,
bad.
I tried to copy somebody too. If you notice in my background, it's a little bit purple. Um,
Yeah.
the color. So, I've got those Philips Hue lights that change colors. So I'm trying to add a little eye spike into the mix tonight,
There you go.
with a little bit of color. And
Oh
I
yeah.
love him.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
a
cool guy.
terrific guy, and he's a wild man, but he
He
seems
sure
to
is.
really have it together, and he's that trike of his is beautiful,
Oh
and
yeah, that's awesome.
it's and he
Uh,
knows how to shoot video. He knows how to get multiple angles and how
Yeah.
to use them and tell a story well.
Well, I was looking at chat here. Someone mentioned art mataz. So let's say hi to old guy on a drone. Welcome to the show, Thomas O'Sullivan, Philly Drone
All the
Life.
way from Ireland, Thomas O'Sullivan.
Yeah, and Doug Ertel. Welcome to the show.
And Philly Drone Life, who I think tried to go live 3 times this morning, and I don't know what the heck happened. Um, I was actually awake and I went on to pop on one of his videos, and I don't know whether he was. I'm going to have to call him later and find out and see if he was able to get on.
Right.
It looked like 3 attempts in a row.
Oh
I don't
boy.
know what the new rules are with live streaming now with
Right.
YouTube.
I think if you go back and look at some of my earlier versions of the live stream, I mean it's really gotten a lot better. And I want to thank Lloyd and Mel for helping me get the channel looking as good as it does right now, and talking me into using vMix. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, we
Yeah,
got
you've got it going pretty good, Art. I found out about your channel from, Bill, the drone reviewer,
right.
watching his show, and he's kind of the Walter Cronkite of drones. That
Yeah,
guy
he
just,
is.
you know, he's like Fox News. We got a news alert every 5 minutes
Right.
from Bill, the drone reviewer, and I don't know where he gets his information, but he's great at it. And when he showed your video, I could appreciate what you have to do to get your drone, to get up into the air
Right.
and to drag all your other cameras along with you.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool what he did to get that Mavic Air to you, and also the drone case for your Phantom, and a little more portability.
Yep.
All the drones are portable, but they're not all easy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
you
true.
know,
That's true.
the the Queen Mary's portable too, but I'm not going to carry that on my back.
Yeah,
So
that's true. A shout
yeah,
out to South Rooted Outside Outdoors. Welcome to the show. And
yeah, and an old guy, Mitch, there, he's a terrific guy down in Florida.
yeah,
Of course, he's gone dark on us lately, with his FPV stuff. And I watched him build his drone with Philly Mike adding the color commentary in the background.
right.
And, that was, I never thought I would enjoy watch somebody build a drone. And
Uh huh.
I was laughing half the time.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Mhm. Mhm. And Curtis Dart, welcome to the show. Yeah, and the drone community is just a great bunch of people, and very supportive of each other, especially
Right.
Roger over at Canadian Drone Hub. And by the way,
Yeah.
I'm going to be on Val's show a week from tomorrow on April 14th. So that'll be interesting. I've been on Centroid Aerial uh, a few weeks ago. That was fun. Uh, so,
Yeah. He lives about 7 miles away from me,
right, that's right.
Centroid. You
And
know.
he's a school teacher, which is pretty cool.
Right. Or at least I think he is. I mean, he's on YouTube 24/7.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
true. That's
but
true.
he's getting some time in. But I know where he teaches. But I won't tell his students
There you
about
go.
it. But but yeah, he seems like a great guy, and he's got a good channel going there.
Yes, he
And
does.
and
Where's the?
hopefully, if there's, you know, maybe get together and fly. We'll see. You
There
know,
you
it's
go.
it's kind of a solitary hobby when you think about it. It's fun to fly with people, but
Yep.
you want to stay out of each other's way
Right.
at the same time.
Well, when I get the video up from today's flying, you'll see Tim's drone buzzing down below my drone, which is kind of cool. And
Oh, okay.
but that was a lot of fun. And what I've got to do is I got to get to where I'm flying, either every week or at least twice a week. So it's kind of like practicing. I think the more you practice, you get better and better at flying, and you get better at getting that right video or that right photograph of the subject that you're working with.
Right.
Like the
Yeah.
waterfall that I went to, it's still partially frozen, so the water wheel is not turning anymore. They still have the Christmas lights attached to it. So uh, and I got pretty close to the top of the waterfall, and it got so close that I could hear the beep 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 of the sensors
Yeah.
telling me you're getting a little close to something. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. So I just want to thank you for coming on to the show. Uh, Good luck with your drone flying, and keep bringing us more videos. You've got
Yeah. That's
a good
what I hope
talent.
to do.
You got a good eye for subjects and a good uh, mind for making the subject interesting. So
Right.
thank you for coming on, and you have a great weekend, and we'll catch you on down the road. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the invite, Art. I really do appreciate it.
All right.
You
Take
know, and
care.
you have a good weekend yourself.
All right. Bye bye.
And goodbye to everybody in the chat. Take care, guys.
Okay. All right, that was Mike Roche of Mike Roche Studios. I want to thank all you guys out there for joining in the show. I'm gonna switch it over to the timer to where you guys could all chat for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna make something to eat. So, and I'll be busy coming back to edit some video and possibly troll around on the other channels. So. Uh, Take it easy, folks. Let's go back to. I gotta find the right one. Where? That's not it. That's not it. That's not. Oh, we're almost there. We're getting close. There we go. Oh, and don't forget, I've got these bumper stickers. If you want to buy these bumper stickers, they're only $2 a piece, or two of them for $3. I'll ship them to you. All right, then there's. I gotta remember, where did I put that guy? That's not it. Oh, where did I put? Oh man, I'm almost. Anyway, let's go to that. Let's try that. Good night and sweet dreams.